Te ko ho te ua, nuku te ua, tara te ua, pata pata ia wha, te wherere I ho ai tai o.
If ever there was a moment to bring our good minds and hearts together to discuss the urgent situation of Mother Earth's changing climate, it is now. Today is the day.
As First Nations peoples, we were first to love this Earth woman, who is our spiritual mother or grandmother. She loves us completely and provides us with a home.
The world is really having a hard time everywhere, including us, the Native people. Not just physically, not just economically, not just socially, not just religion, even spiritually, we're all suffering in this world.
Scientists, leaders in both the Indigenous communities and in the non-Indigenous communities tell us that we have a very short period of time to bring about change, 10, 15, 20 years before the environmental systems become degraded to the point of overshooting. The ice is melting, people, and we need to bring about change.
The climate crisis is really not an environmental problem. It is a human problem that is being visited upon all of our relations. The global economy was set up upon the dispossession and dehumanizing of Indigenous peoples, and it is still today maintained through the dispossession and dehumanizing of Indigenous peoples.
The stakes could not be higher, and philanthropy has decisions to make about what side we're on and how we're going to deploy our resources to support justice and reverse this climate emergency.
How many millions of people are going to be displaced, considering the recent destruction and what may happen tomorrow?
Displacement, dispossession, occupation, militarization, on and on, leaves our Native people extremely vulnerable and unable to heal itself in the face of extractive capitalism in our homelands.
We can't pretend that our investments happen over there and our grant making happens on the other side, that these are somehow delinked, when in fact the lion's share of our money is invested traditionally in companies that are the epicenter of this failed and rights violating economic system. And then we sprinkle some money and ask groups, communities to clean it up.
The term aloha aina, which literally translates as love of the land, is synonymous with Indigenous resistance. Our ancestors' actions in responsible resource management, in resisting the injustices they endured, infuse us with their mana today. And we are a continuation of a living culture. We are the aloha aina of this land.
What we are looking at in the climate crisis is this extension of an experience of colonialism and imperialism that is eventually going to consume itself, and is a story where Indigenous intervention is required. Then funders really need to consider what their role has been in that story up till now.
1% of philanthropy funds go into Indigenous communities and 2% into climate change. That's outrageous. That's a shocking statistic.
And what do they want their role in this story to be right now? And what do they want their role in that story to be in the future? How do they want to be remembered?
If the world's crises are intersecting, so too must be our response. We cannot address climate in isolation. We must place frontline, Indigenous, women, and people of color-led organizations at the center of our responses, because there are no solutions without their leadership.
My grandmother says, life is a ceremony in itself, worthy celebrating with a ceremony. When we ask the fire to come, she will come and light up. And when we ask the fire to light up the world, that she would do that. And when we ask the fire to bring warmth to us, she will do that. But if we do not do that ceremony, fire can eat us up, all of us.
Looking after Indigenous peoples and Indigenous rights, the protection of our women, the protection of our children, the protection of our languages, of our ceremonies, of our sciences, Indigenous sciences, which understand the language of the planet and the patterns in order to be able to recognize when something is out of kilter. Until those things are collectively recognized and protected, then we're not going to really address the climate crisis.
Traditional knowledge keepers say that humankind misused its power, and the current state of the earth is the consequence.
If we don't comprehend the significance of what we're going through, millions, billions will die.
We can bring about change, and it's our responsibility to see that change happens. And that change is necessary to save our planet.
It is your time to pray and throw your powers, your prayers of protection and hope over the treasured blue planet Earth and all life. We are living in the time of prophecy. Nahinahani, now Shimana.
Te koho, te ua, nuku te ua, tara te ua, pata pata ia wha, te wherere iho ai tai o matuku, te wherere iho ai tai o pani he tapa.